pop in. Gotta open a new pack of Trident. And before we get into it, you know the drill, you know the deal. We gotta do some channel maintenance, some channel hygiene. So, if you're new here, welcome to my nonsense. If you're old here, welcome back. Oh geez. If you're new here, please consider hitting subscribe. If you're old here, go double check, make sure you're subscribed. Hit the like if you like, leave a comment. It could be anything related to the video. It could just be a hello, a few emojis, whatever, as long as it's cool and respectful. Hit the notification bell. As always, I have my tip jars down yonder in the description box. No pressure whatsoever, but every $1 or $2 helps. That is what allows me to continue to make content. Also, you are invited to my Patreon. I know not everybody can come, but you can't say you weren't invited. The link to my Patreon is down below, and I post a lot over there. If you want extra content, but you don't want to leave this platform, you can join YouTube memberships by clicking join below, or going to my channel page and clicking join. That is content that is exclusive to YouTube members. Alright, so something that kind of blew up, I guess, on TikTok, and so now it's all over YouTube, is this lady, I believe her name is Kendra. And Kendra fell in love with her psychiatrist, and she was actually his patient for 4 years. She had a psychologist and a psychiatrist, and okay, it is very clear that she needs good professional help. I'll say that. And the internet is kind of attacking her because she is clearly delusional. That part is true. That is a valid description of how she's acting, because she reads a lot into seemingly nothing, right? So she gets the psychiatrist, I think, through Zoom, or the meetings are through Zoom, so they're online, and she thinks he's really good looking, and she starts to get little crushes on him, a little crush on him, and at one point she does tell him that he's attractive or something, and she says he just looked down and smiled, but he didn't say anything don't ever say that again, or we can't talk about that or anything. So she took that as let's run with it. He's so into me, something like that. She goes on to then start to discuss her, because she got a boyfriend for a little while in there. So Kendra goes on to discuss in detail her sex life with her boyfriend. She's discussed, and I don't know, I've never discussed that kind of stuff with my psychologist or psychiatrist, so this is why I think Kendra does, she's a little bit valid, okay? Because she's always he didn't stop me, and I think that sometimes, at some points when she's talking about the stuff that happened, that it was his duty to be let's stop here, let's pull back a little bit, but he always just says how does that make you feel, or something. What a job to just sit there and say, and how does that make you feel? Okay, here's your bill for $200, but she finds out that he has in-person meetings. She didn't know. She thought he was a strictly a Zoom psychiatrist. So she says I guess that's the tables that they chose for this, this coffee shop, but they're not supposed to be dined on. So as she makes the video, she gives them, I think she gives them all the info. She goes, gets her daughter checked out, and then she makes the TikTok. And then people are like, don't give them any money. That is not even supposed to be a dining table. That's why it tipped over. And you can go look at clips from that people made from before this incident. And what they do there is they make like these huge latte things like this big, and then people share them, which I think is disgusting. Like friend groups go and they all have like 6 straws and they all like chug their lattes. Like that's the gimmick, that's the shtick. And so you can see the tables rocking in the video. So the tables have never been secured. And then here come like all the reviews of like how mean that shop is. But yes, like more reviews came in after this, but if you go back and look at the reviews from before this happened, there was these reviews too saying like they're such a mean crew, like they're really mean and they basically talk shit right in front of your face while you're there. One lady said that she got stuck in the dressing room, like the door handle was not moving, and so she's like screaming and nobody came. Finally her friend heard her and got her out, like picked the lock and got her out. And guess what? So as soon as she like busts out of there, she's like kind of like all hot and bothered, as you would be if you were locked in a little dressing room and nobody was coming to help you. Tangent, but have you ever been stuck in a shirt? In a dressing room, like a shirt with tags on it, because if it's a shirt at home, you're like, okay, I'm gonna rip this thing. But being stuck in a shirt or something in the dressing room is one of the most frightening experiences a girl can have. Anyway, she like gets out, she's like, oh my god, and she just sees the whole crew is sitting on the ground. And they are using seam cutters to cut tags off of clothes, because it's a boutique / coffee shop. So they're slicing all the Shin tags out of the clothes and then sewing in the boutique's name tags. Everything they were selling, well, pretty much everything they were selling was from Shin, marked up. Plus there's no price tag, so like every single thing out there, you look at it, you're like, oh, this is cute, no price tag, you have to ask. Which leads me to believe they're just like making up prices, because what do you mean there's no price tags? And then you just know everything. You just know how much every shirt costs or something. Yeah, so that got exposed, and they did make a statement saying like safety is our first priority. We were only just trying to hold her closer to get like information for our insurance company, like they backpedaled. But they sound like total mean girl weirdos, all of them, the whole lot. We've got the resilient Jenkins living in a shelter now. It looks like it's like one room, like a bedroom type thing. residence for most of the day. So anyway, she kind of like stays in this little room all day. She's got a baby and a toddler, and then there's other kids, but the baby and the toddler. So there's like a baby on her hip, the baby's still nursing. There's a toddler running around like back and forth in the room. And sometimes she takes them outside, but like lately she's like, it's just too hot. It's too hot out there. Okay, well, take some water and prop up a lawn chair and put that sunscreen on. He needs to run. Now, she did have them out one time, like she was videotaping. She has to TikTok everything, you know, because I guess that's her income. But then why don't we have a high chair? So she had the kids running around in the parking lot, and there was needle, you know, the little orange pieces that go to hypodermic needles out there. I'm like, yeah, maybe the kids should have shoes on. Maybe you need to go to like a regular park. And I know like anything can happen anywhere, but that's not a good sign. And maybe it was like, okay, somebody, when you're diabetic or you have a bunch of needles and it's a cap, it's not a needle, so. But I don't know. It would scare the crap out of me. And then like one time she took him out. There's like a field, I guess, nearby. And she's like, oh look. She always tries to make Drew look like a good dad. She's like, oh look, Daddy got the Nerf guns out of storage. Like he does like nothing. The bar is so low. She's like, oh, he just made their wildest dreams come true because he got the Nerf guns out of storage, and they're just having like, okay. Okay, now this one, trigger warning, because this one is really sad. It's the last one I want to talk about. There was a popular influencer, momfluencer. I think her thing was TikTok. I don't know. She kind of looks like the Schitt's Creek daughter. She has that like a little bit Alexis look. And they have like a 3-year-old and then a newborn. Now, I don't know where mom was. Mom was out doing something, and dad was home with the children, with the 3-year-old and the newborn. And the son, the 3-year-old son, drowned in their pool. And then it was like charges were getting brought up, like real charges, like kind of negligent homicide type charges. They're like, geez, you know, that's kind of harsh, because in the past when the kids have drowned, they don't charge the parents. But so when they looked into the charges, and she was trying to get them covered up, she was trying to get it like sealed or something. But when you look at the charges, it says like gross negligence, and that is because, come to find out, this dad was inside gambling on his phone while his 3-year-old was outside with a